Industry announcement, the Saskatchewan discovery some say could be a game changer for the province. A verdict in a Saskatoon murder trial, what prompted an emotional response from family? And a behind-the-scenes look at Saskatchewan's wildfire fight.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. Saskatchewan could be adding another game-changing industry to its natural resource portfolio. Long known as an agriculture, potash and uranium stronghold, a new discovery could change Saskatchewan's perception. Keenan Sorokon reports.
Did you know Saskatchewan is home to one of the world's largest deposits of alumina? Near Tisdale, confined to an area about 600 square kilometers, or roughly the size of Metro Edmonton, is about 1/3 of the global supply of the chemical compound that is a key component in the making of aluminum, with hundreds of other uses. And it could be the latest prosperous natural resource found in Saskatchewan.
Do I think this has the realm to be in that scope of discussion, like uranium and potash coming from Saskatchewan? Yes, I certainly do.
Canadian Energy Metals Project Thor not only has the ability to end exporting the substance from remote parts of the world, but can supply North America's aluminum for hundreds of years, all while being a much greener alternative to the typical supply Canada uses.
We believe we've got a game changer in terms of greening the industry.
This transformational project could be the latest industry to put Saskatchewan on the map.
No rural community thrives by standing still. What defines Tisdale is our work ethic, our optimism, and our willingness to embrace new opportunities.
There's no timeline for getting a mine operational. An economic assessment backs the case for a $6.3 billion project, but plenty of work needs to happen as Hopkins works to show this venture is as viable as he believes.
In basically 40 months, we've taken a resource from completely unknown to a point where we have economic feasibility confirmed for two products, 0 to 60 in months.
Aside from the obvious benefits, speakers on Friday say the geography, geology, and geopolitical impact of this project is what sets it apart from anything else like it. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The Premier isn't reading too much into recent comments from BC Premier David Eby calling Alberta separatist discussions treason. Mo returned from the First Minister's meetings in Ottawa yesterday, saying there's a unified level of discussions and advocacy for moving the country forward. Mo says while he won't judge Alberta separatist meeting with a member of President Donald Trump's administration, he says everyone at the First Minister's meeting was focused on strengthening Canada internally and its trade relations abroad. He says restoring Canada's trade relationship with China helps our negotiating position with countries across the world, and any talks of treason aren't worrying him.
That was very much the unified effort that all 13 subnational leaders brought to that table, and the Prime Minister. It was one I certainly brought, is I want to build a nation where these discussions are not present. I want to build a nation where all Canadians feel included, feel consulted, and feel proud to be a part of and be contributing to.
Mo says he also had a number of conversations with Ontario Premier Doug Ford about Canada's Chinese electric vehicle cap, which Ford was opposed to. It was definitely warmer out there today, but that wind was a little bit crisp.
It had a bit of a bite to it, yeah. The wind, if you were out and about, and I know you and I were out, yeah, if you didn't have your toque on, and I didn't, it was like a little cold on the ears. But the good news is that warmer conditions are on their way. Now, we might see some snow, depending on where you are, and some places in the province might have to be dealing with some freezing rain. You can see some of it developing in parts of Alberta right now. So we're going to keep our eye on that right now, because we do, in fact, have a freezing rain alert in effect. It's a yellow alert right now. So we'll talk about those details along with the much warmer temperatures later on.
The dismissal of a former Saskatoon police officer fired for his friendship with a Hells Angel associate has been upheld. Sergeant Robbie Taylor had appealed his March 2025 termination with the Saskatoon Police Service. At the time of his firing, Chief Cam McBride said Taylor's relationship with the associate was highly inappropriate. He has also said it put the police service at risk of being perceived as corrupt. Last fall, an appeal hearing was held to determine whether Taylor could keep his job. The hearing officer has now ruled the dismissal was appropriate and that Robbie Taylor is unsuitable for continued service as a police officer. Taylor's lawyer says he plans to fight this decision in another appeal. Some tense moments in a Saskatoon courtroom today after a man accused of killing his girlfriend was found not guilty. CTV's Laura Woodward now on the judge's decision and the emotional reaction.
He's a free man.
Andrew Rosenfeld, a free man. He was acquitted of second-degree murder in the death of his girlfriend, 20-year-old Nikera Brown. She was found shot in the head on November 15, 2022, inside the apartment the couple shared. The Crown argued Rosenfeld killed Brown, while the defense maintained the shooting was a suicide. The judge said her job was not to choose between those two explanations. Quote, "My role in this case was to answer the question, did the Crown prove Mr. Rosenfeld's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt? And at the end of the day, the evidence did give rise to a reasonable inference other than guilt."
From the start of this case, I personally believe that I was representing an innocent client. And in cases like that, it's very difficult. There's a lot at stake. Obviously, this was a very emotional trial.
As the judge delivered her verdict, Brown's mother stood up in the gallery, interrupting proceedings, shouting a comment about domestic violence. Sheriffs surrounded the courtroom as she continued to yell. The courtroom, originally packed with the victim's family, cleared out as the judge continued to deliver her decision. Rosenfeld's family remained seated in the back row and clapped when the judge told him, "I find you not guilty." The Crown has 30 days to file a notice of appeal. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Two men convicted of manslaughter and aggravated assault in the killing of another man have been handed 10-year sentences. In August of 2022, James Swift and Virginia Bellhelmer were stabbed multiple times on the outskirts of Saskatoon after a dispute over cocaine turned violent. Swift died from his injuries while Bellhelmer was able to flag down a passing vehicle. Ashton Ritzend and Colton Lishka were charged with second-degree murder and attempted murder, but following their trial last year, they were convicted of the lesser offenses of manslaughter and aggravated assault. A judge ruled there were too many unanswered questions to determine who delivered the fatal stabbing. Today, the pair was sentenced to 8 years for manslaughter and 2 years for aggravated assault. The Crown says the sentence is appropriate, while the defense lawyers say it is not.
You know, we're not satisfied with the sentence. I think it didn't take into account really the facts of what occurred.
Justice Tucker was not able to determine which of the two was the actual stabber and who may have assisted the other in the stabbing. So under those circumstances, we felt the sentence was excessively harsh.
Defense lawyer Nicholas Stushinoff says he is likely going to advise Lishka to file an appeal. A woman has been sentenced to just over 9 years in prison in connection with the death of a 24-year-old mother. Chelsea Crow was sentenced this morning in Court of King's Bench. She pleaded guilty to being party to an assault and unlawful confinement of Taya Sinclair, whose body was found burned at a snow dump by the Alfred Jenkins Fieldhouse in Prince Albert in March of 2022. Sinclair was a 24-year-old mother of two and was reported missing a day before her body was found. 59-year-old Michael Smiley pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder in connection with her death and is currently on trial. RCMP are looking for help in identifying a suspect linked to a string of break-and-enters in central Saskatchewan this month. They've released a photo and a video of a man they are looking for. Between January 5th and 8th, RCMP responded to multiple break-and-enters in Craik, Davidson, Purdue, Biggar, and Unity. Surveillance footage shows a man trying to break into a building in Unity on January 7th around 11:30 p.m. Officers had footage of what's believed to be the same man during a break-and-enter on January 7th in Unity. A short time later, if anyone recognizes this individual, they are asked to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers. RCMP also looking for help in identifying a person responsible for 10 break-and enters at businesses in central Saskatchewan. These ones happened in Aberdeen, Allen, Bruno, Colonsay, Langham, Lanigan, and Vonda between December 6th and January 6th. RCMP say there was damage at the businesses as a result, and cash, alcohol, and keys were reported stolen. If anyone knows anything about the person or the van in these images, they are asked to contact RCMP. A 24-year-old man has been charged after a police vehicle was struck by an ATV. Just after 5 o'clock Tuesday afternoon, RCMP responded to an assault in Turner Lake in northern Saskatchewan. Officers found the suspect on an ATV. When they tried to stop it by using a police cruiser to block the road, they say the suspect hit it with the ATV. No one was injured. The police vehicle sustained minor damage. The suspect left the scene but was later arrested. Water bombers play a critical role in defending Saskatchewan communities from wildfires, and it takes daily work to keep them ready to fly. CTV's Stacey Hine now with an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at Saskatchewan's firefighting fleet.
Built for extreme conditions, these planes fly low and fast, often with limited visibility. And inside the provincial airbase in La Ronge, crews keep them ready for the action. Every part of the aircraft is accounted for, right down to the bolts, ensuring they are safe to fly.
We have to take extra parameters and inspections to thoroughly look to make sure that our performance of our aircraft for the summertime is working at its max performance, and ultimately the safety of our pilots flying it.
This is the newest addition to the Saskatchewan firefighting fleet, a Q400 land-based air tanker. It's a former commercial turboprop converted for firefighting.
So it's everything normal like the plane, and then they went and added this big bomb tank on here.
Ground crews fill the 12,000-liter tank with fire retardant.
He comes in the back here of the hose, hooks it up, and then when the light flashes, then he knows he's full on the hooks, and away the plane goes.
Inside, the cabin is completely stripped. No seats and no padding, while the plane remains pressurized for high-altitude flight.
It's completely gutted out to be as light as possible.
This plane may be new, but it requires monthly inspections. Crews check for cracks in open exterior panels, a process compared to lifting the hood of a car to make sure everything is in working order. 3 more Q400s are expected to join the fleet in the next couple of years. Nearby is an amphibious air tanker, commonly known as a water bomber. The bottom of the plane is shaped like a float, with smaller floats on each wing, allowing it to land on water, while retractable wheels allow it to use a runway. Beneath the plane, 2 scoops can collect about 4,500 liters of water in just 9 seconds. On a busy day, Saskatchewan crews can make up to 90 water drops, one of the highest daily totals in the world.
Because the lakes are close and long enough and deep enough that we can just go and do quick rotations.
Inside, part of the water tank system is visible, and with a push of a button, pilots can inject the foam from this tank into the water, helping reduce evaporation during a drop. From the hangar to the fire line, the work here keeps the firefighting fleet ready to respond. Stacey Hine, CTV News, La Ronge.
A carbon monoxide leak that took the life of a Regina boy in December has been traced to a faulty boiler. Regina Fire and Protective Services says the equipment has been seized and sent for analysis. As Wayne Mantika tells us, fire investigators are still looking into other circumstances surrounding the incident.
Regina Fire says a December carbon monoxide leak at this downtown apartment building was unintentional, but they continue to investigate why a boiler emitted the deadly gas.
I can also tell you that we've seized that boiler, and we have it, and we're going to look to have further analysis and examination of that boiler.
The release of carbon monoxide gas took the life of 11-year-old Henry Losco. The family appreciates the work of investigators.
I think that it's important that they go to the root of what happened to this boiler, right? And we appreciate that they are out there giving updates.
Sergio Losco was found unconscious in the 4th-floor apartment. He was taken to hospital and survived. He says CO2 detectors did not go off in the apartment. The family is waiting for further answers.
Police investigation is ongoing, and Sask is doing their investigation too, and those are all ongoing, so nothing can be disclosed at this time.
The family continues to grieve the loss of their son.
Since losing Henry, I spend a lot of time. There's a lot of guilt even going on. What should I have done differently? How could I have kept my family safe?
Henry's mother says there are important questions that tenants must ask their landlords.
What is it that's heating them? Are things up to code? Are they being maintained? Do the carbon monoxide detectors work? When was the last time they were checked?
Regina Fire says it will continue to investigate what happened in the building. Additional findings are expected to be revealed in the future. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
Former students of the Isle Lacrosse School and the federal government have signed a proposed settlement agreement. It follows an agreement in principle that was reached last year to resolve class action over harms linked to the school, which ran from the 1860s to 1970s. Under the proposal, Ottawa would give up to $10,000 for those who attended less than 5 years and up to $15,000 for former students who spent 5 or more years at the institution. An independent administrator would determine the amount for each individual. A court hearing is set for the end of March when a judge decides if the deal is fair. If approved, survivors will be able to apply for compensation through the third party. It's hoped new state-of-the-art equipment at RUH will help provide better care for cardiac patients. Royal University Hospital Foundation unveiling newly renovated cardiology suites earlier today. The foundation says the suites replace aging infrastructure with modern technology designed to improve patient outcomes and meet the growing demand for complex cardiac care. The cardiac program at RUH provides diagnostic testing, allowing specialists to diagnose and treat life-threatening heart conditions. Officials say having a newer space offers better workflow, reduces delays for procedures, and helps deliver time-sensitive interventions.
We're able to elevate care that's already being provided by governments, and working together with donors, we're able to create some really transformational and innovative opportunities.
When it comes to cardiology care, it's allowed us to provide the full service of cardiac care to the province of Saskatchewan that can't be provided anywhere else.
The cardiology suites were finished at the end of last year. Up to 20 procedures are performed per day. Still to come, the latest on the tough tariff talks and mourning the loss of a Hollywood star. A look at the life of Katherine O'Hara. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us tonight. She made us laugh for more than 5 decades through so many beloved and often quirky characters. Katherine O'Hara was a comedic powerhouse who left her mark on the industry. Today, we learned she has died. Annie Bergeron-Oliver has her story.
Do we set the timers on the lights?
Considered a cultural trailblazer and the queen of improv,
Kevin!
Katherine O'Hara had a rare ability to give complex and often eccentric characters depth and humanity. A craft she mastered at the famed improv theater Second City in her hometown of Toronto. She started there waiting tables.
Want to fall in love?
But in 1974, her love for acting would land her a role on the hugely successful Second City television.
Gonna be a frosty snow girl. I'm gonna deck your halls.
She had no formal training, but O'Hara's enthusiastic spirit and determination quickly made her an award-winning star in Canada.
If you don't let me gut out this house and make it my own, I will go insane and I will take you with me!
Propelling her to international fame with roles in hit movies from Beetlejuice
What the? Are you all right?
to the mockumentary comedy film Best in Show.
I sense there's something in the wind.
And the cult classic animated movie The Nightmare Before Christmas.
My bag! It's gone!
But one of the roles she's best known for, Moira Rose in the hit show Schitt's Creek.
Crocodile bag, the one my mother mother gave me.
Her performance in the Canadian production was met with critical acclaim and garnered her multiple acting awards.
I would love to stand up here and tell you this was all just a walk in the cake, but it wasn't.
At one of her last appearances at TIFF just 4 months ago, O'Hara thanked her longtime friend and colleague, Eugene Levy.
When I think of my happiest days in this adventure and show business, I realize most of them have been with you.
An adventure in show business that spanned more than 50 years. O'Hara was 71. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
Bombardier shares took a nosedive following a new threat from the U.S. president over certification and tariffs. Shares for the Canadian-made aircraft dropped as much as 9% at one point today. Michael Couture has more from Ottawa.
Bombardier's Global 8000 is billed as the world's fastest civil aircraft since the Concorde. But it could be grounded in the U.S. as President Donald Trump targets the Quebec company as apparent retribution over the certification of an American jet in Canada. On Truth Social, Trump wrote the U.S. was decertifying their Bombardier Global Expresses and all aircraft made in Canada until such time as Gulfstream, a great American company, is fully certified. Gulfstream is a direct competitor of Bombardier, and industry experts point out there are reasons Canada has been holding off.
The U.S. has certified the Gulfstream 700 and the 800 with exemptions to look at that aircraft not being certified for very cold weather operations because of fuel line problems.
In response to the threat of decertifying Canadian aircraft, Bombardier said in a statement, thousands of private and civilian jets built in Canada fly in the U.S. every day. We hope this is quickly resolved to avoid a significant impact to air traffic and the flying public. But it remains unclear if the U.S. president even has the authority to decertify aircraft.
The only way that the type certificate can be revoked is if there is a safety issue with the aircraft.
Now, this is just the latest salvo in the ongoing trade war, which has seen Trump ramp up his rhetoric against Canada following the Prime Minister's visit to China.
You can't look at China as the answer.
In a statement about the threat, Minister Steve McKinnon said Transport Canada officials are in communication with their U.S. counterparts, and the Canadian government is actively working on this situation. Michael Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
A high-profile American journalist has been arrested in connection with an anti-immigration protest in Minnesota. Don Lemon and 3 other people were taken into custody following his coverage of a protest that disrupted a church service in St. Paul on January 18th. He was later arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles, where he had been covering the Grammy Awards for CNN. It is unclear what charge or charges Lemon and the others are facing, but his lawyer says he will fight them vigorously. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is set to face a big test tonight in Calgary. Delegates of the party will be voting on whether he should keep his job just hours after he delivers what could be one of the most important speeches of his political career. CTV's Jeremy Charon is in Calgary with more.
Well, the busiest day of this Calgary Conservative Convention now underway here, with all eyes on a big leadership vote this evening. Delegates here selected to represent Conservative members from ridings across the country will vote later today on whether Pierre Poilievre should remain the leader of the federal Conservative Party. This leadership test comes as a result of the Conservative Party's loss in the last federal election. It is widely expected that Mr. Poilievre will achieve a positive result. We've been speaking with delegates, some of whom know exactly where they stand already. Others aren't quite sure yet.
Do you support Mr. Poilievre as the leader?
Oh, yeah, most definitely, 100%. It's still, when you go behind that curtain, it's still your private franchise, and you decide as you will at that time. So that's why I came to the convention to get a sense of what's happening.
Now, we're told Mr. Poilievre met with his caucus this morning ahead of his leadership review. Conservative Senator Denise Batters was at that meeting.
I'm glad to see that Pierre has taken that part of our process very seriously because, as you may recall, after the previous election, I had to bring a petition to try to force pressure on Mr. O'Toole to have a leadership review, and that's what I was asking for. And meanwhile, Pierre not only has the review, but has it at a very early stage.
Now, several Conservative MPs have taken the stage behind me here to address the crowd. All of them have hit on two kind of key themes. The first being what the party believes to be a positive result in the last election, a success in the last election, by increasing their seat count, despite the fact, of course, they did not form government. The other is that all of them were clear that they believe the best path forward for the Conservative Party is with Pierre Poilievre at the helm. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, Calgary.
Canada's ban on single-use plastics will remain in place. The Federal Court of Appeal has overturned a lower court decision. In 2023, that lower court ruled Ottawa overstepped in designating all plastic manufactured items as toxic. The government would then later ban the manufacture and importing of 6 types of single-use plastics. But today, a 3-judge panel in the appeals court ruled that Ottawa's decision to designate all plastic items as toxic was reasonable. All right, Jeff, that warm-up has begun. The wind will go away, right?
Sort of? Not really. No, I'm afraid to say the wind is not going to go away, but maybe the much warmer temperatures will help augment the situation. But yes, we do have a windy day in store for many parts of Saskatchewan, including here in Toontown. So we'll talk about that in a second or two. Let's take a look and see what we've got going on with our numbers. -7 degrees right now in Saskatoon. Some flurries are falling. Flurries are falling. In Prince Albert, -10 degrees. Winds out of the south at 20. A little breezy still here in Saskatoon, still kind of windy in the Battlefords. Clear skies, -8 degrees. So those core temperatures feeling colder than that. Our daytime high today, -6 degrees, and that is in fact 5 degrees above seasonal, so warmer than we would typically have this time of late January. 10 degrees, the record warm temperature from 1931. The record cold temperature, a very cold, -46 from 1893. The sun came up at 8:50 and it went down at 5:50.
Coming up, cool creativity, what's brought competitors from around the world to the nation's capital.
We're helping you stay safe online. Monday on Your Morning, we're diving into the growing influence of AI and steps you can take to protect yourself. See you then.
All right, let's take a look and see what we've got going on through the live lens of Skycam. Right now, things look fairly placid in and around Saskatoon. We do anticipate some precipitation. Now, there's a risk of freezing rain from Saskatoon. There's no warning or an alert issued by Environment Canada that includes Saskatoon, but still the risk of freezing rain is there, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here. So all of that is because we have all this warm Pacific air coming our way. It's moisture laden, and then this cold front sort of sags through, and as it does, the potential for some of that precipitation to drop as snow is there for northern Saskatchewan, freezing rain in between, and we're anticipating some rain in southern Saskatchewan, so it's a bit of a mess when it comes to how and when or what type of precipitation certain parts of the province are going to receive, because it's on its way. It's already there in Prince Albert, -10 degrees right now with some flurries, partly cloudy skies in Saskatoon, and clear, and -8 in the Battlefords. So let's take a look at our hot spot. Well, that was Leader at just 1 degree. I was a little surprised we weren't warmer down in southern Saskatchewan, but that's how it shaped up. 1.4 degrees to be exact for Leader. Yorkton, -24. That's the provincial cold spot for the 30th of January today. -6 degrees in Lloydminster right now, -4 in Swift Current, -9 in Moose Jaw, -16 in Yorkton. Still kind of chilly in Yorkton, but -12 in Regina, -13 in Estevan. Into central Saskatchewan, parts of the northern Grain Belt, temperatures ranging from -3 degrees in Kindersley down to -16. That's in Hudson Bay. It's -9 in Meadow Lake, -13 in a few places. Up north, relatively mild conditions for northern Saskatchewan, -8 in Stony Rapids, -5 in Buffalo Narrows, -7 in La Ronge, and minus double digits, but just barely for the other locations on this part of our map. Down south, on the plus side, Leader and Maple Creek. Well, Maple Creek's at 2 degrees, so let's call that the hot spot. All right, I'm making that change on the fly. -4 in East End, -9 in Coronach, -13 in Carlisle, -16 in Melville, and -4 in Outlook. On to our futurecast. So let's take a look. So the colors, purple is snow, green is rain, and pink is a rain-snow mix, and that could be freezing rain depending on the timing. So you can certainly see the system sort of sliding through that low-pressure area, that bullseye, moving along the Yellowhead in many respects into Manitoba. It looks like it's going to be mostly a snowy situation situation for Manitoba. So that dark blue area there, that indicates a freezing rain warning. So basically in and around parts of Meadow Lake Provincial Park down towards the Battlefords. And yes, it is from Environment Canada. It's a yellow alert right now. Okay, making our way to our roundup for tomorrow. So cloudy skies for La Ronge and Stony Rapids, expecting more in the way of snow for Buffalo Narrows and Key Lake, but relatively mild conditions there. -2 for Meadow Lake, -1 in Spiritwood. Chance of flurries in both those locations. Kindersley 3 degrees in Rosetown, expecting windy conditions, but also at 3 degrees. 3 degrees as well for Leader and Swift Current. Swift Current, a rain-snow mix expected tomorrow, expecting some flurries in Outlook. Balmy 7 degrees under mainly sunny skies from Maple Creek, expecting a bit more in the way of substantive snow for Yorkton and Regina. Rain expected in Moose Jaw, and we're looking at some flurries in Estevan, and as you can see, mild conditions there. And that's true of east central Saskatchewan, where flurries of some sort or substantive snow is certainly expected in the area. Now on to the Battlefords. Flurries tonight with a risk of freezing rain, -4 degrees. That risk is still there tomorrow in the morning. Windy conditions tomorrow and 2 degrees, and then -8 for Sunday and Monday. That's still above seasonal, and then warming up to 3 by Thursday for Prince Albert and area. Flurries tonight, -9 degrees tomorrow. 2 to 4 centimeters of snow. A risk of freezing rain in the morning. -2 degrees your expected daytime high. Breezy conditions at time. -9 on Sunday, -11 on Monday. So that's seasonal, but then way above seasonal by the time we get to Wednesday and Thursday, with highs of 2 degrees. And Saskatoon's overnight temperature -7 degrees. The wind's backing off. Still a risk of freezing rain, and that exists in the morning as well. A 70% chance of flurries. Windy conditions for tomorrow, and -8 on Sunday and Monday, but warming up to 2 on Wednesday, 3 on Thursday. The countdown to Sunday's Grammys is on. Kendrick Lamar is leading the field with 9 nominations. Those include the top 3 awards: Album, Record, and Song of the Year. He's joined in those races by Lady Gaga, who tied for the second most nominations with a career best of 7. Also competing in all those top categories are superstars like Sabrina Carpenter and Bad Bunny. The 68th annual Grammy Awards air Sunday night. And some new faces are joining the cast of the hit drama The White Lotus. Actors Helena Bonham Carter and Chris Messina head the list. Others joining the show include model Marissa Long and actors Alexander Ludwig and Steve Coogan. Previous seasons have been set in Hawaii, Italy, and Thailand. Season 4 will take place in France. Filming is expected to start in April and continue through the end of October.
I think I found a way home. This last job, that's how I get there.
25 new films are being added to America's National Film Registry. Christopher Nolan's Inception is among the 25 films selected for preservation by the Library of Congress. The 90s comedy Clueless has also been picked, along with The Karate Kid and The Grand Budapest Hotel. It's not just the late 90s and early 2000s era making the cut. This year's selections date back all the way to the silent film era, with 6 films from 1896 through 1926. Also on the list, from the 80s, The Big Chill, The Thing, and Glory.
All right, time for Pick of the Day, Friday edition. What do you have?
Well, these are glorious pictures. We have some lovely shots here. So let's take a look at this one. I call this glorious. This is terrific, from Philip Brown. Philip tells us early morning frost, Bickley, or is it Bickley Road, RM 259, West Central Saskatchewan. According to my map, I looked it up. That's sort of southwest of the Rosetown area. That is a beautiful shot. So thank you so much, Philip, for that. For Richard Vetter, he didn't give us a description, but we liked it and we wanted to share it with you. A lovely early morning shot here. We assume it's early morning. Could be sunrise, could be sunset. I know, something from Fiddler on the Roof for you folks. And yes, but a lovely shot of winter. And this one from Dion Block, taken in Leroy yesterday. Dion says, "Hi, Jeff. Just thought this photo might put a smile on everybody's faces. Happy Friday. The kitty cat's name is Spencer." And we don't know what the name of the deer is, so we'll say Bambi. But thank you, Dion, for that picture. It looks great. And if you'd like to share an image with us, you can do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca.
Still to come on CTV News, the nation's capital celebrates winter. The cool competition that is heating up. annual Winter Festival is underway in the nation's capital, and as Tyler Fleming tells us, it's attracting talent from around the world to make some cool creations.
Competition is heating up to see who can create the coolest sculpture.
18 blocks, 300 pounds per block.
Winterlude is underway at Confederation Park, where a dozen ice carving duos from around the world have just 30 hours to complete their ice sculptures. Spectators like Maeve and Azalea watch in awe.
It's really cool. I've been really enjoying seeing them carve them out. It's really awesome.
This year's challenge, inspiration from the north, which carver Chris Dainty hopes to reflect.
Julio, who I'm carving with, comes from Mexico City, and so one of the things was we wanted to do a narwhal, a polar bear, and a hunter, father, son, and so this was really special to think of what it's like up north, how people survive through hunting, so that's what we did with this one.
Visitors vote on the final pieces.
The fun project will be very interesting to see.
Here, it's the magic of the ice gardens. Over in Gatineau, Jacques Cartier Park is rolling out its winter playground.
Chilly today, but let me tell you, totally worth the view from the top of this Ferris wheel to see the Ottawa River, the city, and Snowflake Kingdom.
And it's where you also find the snow slides.
That thing is 40 feet high and 150 width. This year we make close of 40,000 cubic meters of snow.
Carved into the sides, massive sculptures along with alcoves highlighting all things Canadiana.
This is truly a Canadian experience, and that's why it's so important that people come out. Whether you want to learn how to ski, snowboard, there's even an opportunity to learn about lacrosse over here.
There's something for everyone, like mazes, activities, snacks, and live music too, with many other events on both sides of the border.
Also, at Confederation Park, because it's an Olympic year this year, we have a big screen, and we're going to be showing the Canadians that are competing in the Winter Olympics this year. So don't stay at home, get dressed up, and come and cheer on our Canadian athletes.
Winterlude runs until February 16th, and while you're there, don't forget about the ice slides.
Fast.
Tyler Fleming, CTV News.
When we come back, the Huskies women's basketball team on a winning streak, and later the high-flying feat in Dubai.
All right, welcome back. Time for the rural forecast for Saturday, and things are right now looking quite interesting. First of all, we've got ourselves some really mild temperatures, but it comes with some wind. Look at that. Windy conditions expected in Kindersley, probably wind gusts up around 60 kilometers an hour. And then there's that system sort of moving through, as I mentioned, along the Yellowhead and depositing either rain or snow or freezing rain. It's likely going to be rain in the down around Trans-Canada, but along the Yellowhead, mostly a snow event. It looks like places like Melfort, Hudson Bay, and Wynyard will be seeing much more in the way of substantive snow. And by substantive, I mean around 2 to 4 centimeters of snow, maybe up to 5 centimeters of snow. And then we get down to southern Saskatchewan, where we're dealing with some rainy conditions, so rainy and windy conditions. Maple Creek expected to hit 7 degrees. In fact, most locations on this part of our map are at 0 or above. Kenora on the outside looking in at -4 degrees. So what about Raymore? Oh, not -12. Tomorrow, Raymore is going to be around the 0 degree mark, but it is going to be a windy day in the Raymore area. And just a reminder, they've got the Fun Spiel coming up in Raymore, so lots of things happening in that community. And that's where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
The University of Saskatchewan women's basketball team remains undefeated this season after last night's game against the Regina Cougars. The Huskies are the top-ranked team in the country. The Cougars, number 4. A dominant second quarter where the Huskies outscored the Cougars 23-5 was the difference maker. The Cougars unable to close the gap, and Saskatchewan wins 63-45. The Huskies have won 47 consecutive games dating back to November of 2024. The record for consecutive wins belongs to the University of Winnipeg, who won 88 straight games from 1992 to 1995. Saskatchewan heads to Regina tomorrow for the rematch. The CFL free agent communication window opens on Sunday. Teams can start negotiating with players without contracts from other clubs. But coming off a Grey Cup championship, don't expect the Saskatchewan Roughriders to be active on the market.
We've secured a fair number of our free agents, and I don't think you're ever really super comfortable with the roster at this time of the year. But I think heading in the right direction. It's a challenging time when you have that many free agents to try to retain as many guys as you want. But we feel pretty good about where we're at.
Some key pieces from the championship team still remain without contracts, including Canadian linebacker A.J. Allen, running back A.J. Ouellette, defensive back C.J. Rivas, and defensive end Malik Carney. O'Day admits he's in a difficult position to bring every player back, but the negotiation window can be a useful time in the process.
It's just another tool for both the team and the player. If they can't reach an agreement, that they can utilize that window to kind of come back and say, this is what the market is, and are you willing to do that? And if not, then you'll have to make decisions.
In the second half for Winnipeg, play action fake. Polaris buys some time. Intercepted. DeMarcus Fields.
The Riders also announcing today a 2-year extension with defensive back DeMarcus Fields. The second-year Rider had 57 tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble playing halfback on the west side. His signing means Rivas is the only player from the starting secondary in the second cup that has yet to be re-signed, although the Riders played a Canadian at that safety spot for most of the season. Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon currently at $1.18.5 a litre. The lowest price in town, $1.11.9. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco dropped $11.83 today, and Cameco finished the day at $93.75. Coming up, the skydiving stunt high in the air. Then the warm-up we've all been waiting for.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
Get comfortable and settle in with these top shows all right here tonight on CTV. An incredible high-flying feat was pulled off in Dubai as a team of fearless skydivers sailed straight through the middle of a skyscraper. Ready, After dozens of practice jumps, a team of elite wingsuit athletes from Dubai took to the air at speeds of roughly 200 kilometers per hour. They shot through the so-called keyhole architecture of the Ciel Dubai Marina, the world's tallest hotel. The skydiving stunt was equal parts absolutely incredible and also a little, scary.
Yeah,
that's
not for everyone, definitely, but that is pretty impressive, considering you're not flying, you're sailing sort of, but ultimately you're dropping.
Yeah.
So very impressive.
I wonder if they practice that a lot or if it's just wing it. I don't know.
I hope they do something along those lines. Hey, let's talk a little bit about the weather. I don't know how wind would affect what those individuals are doing, but we've got ourselves a bit of a wind tomorrow, so we'll take a quick look at what's going on here. -2 tomorrow morning, doesn't really change by noon. 1 o'clock, or rather 5 o'clock, -1, so probably 1 degree in the afternoon. But as you can see, the winds are shifting around a little bit, so it could be a little dicey out there. And speaking of some other things that are going on, I mentioned that Raymore -1 tomorrow. There's still a chance of snow in Raymore. But the other things going on in Raymore, the Elk Skidoo Poker Derby is coming up on February 21st. And then I mentioned the Fun Spiel. That's next weekend, and then the weekend of the 20th and 21st.
All right. Well, it seems to be warming up in many places, and we have proof that it has. We sent our cameras out earlier. Here it is. People taking advantage of the mild temperatures after a couple of cold weeks. People strapping on their skates and took to the ice at the Meewasin rink by the Besborough. People of all ages, of course, enjoying the weather. A few took a break by the fire before getting back out there. So we'll leave you with some fun, frosty activities. Have a safe and happy weekend.
Bye now.